are honest, I don't have that part there, honesty. You see the connections, things as they are. In other words, you're using reason. That's what reason is. And you become cognizant of things around you. Then you will notice design. That things are designed in a particular way. And if you know that they're designed, then you will put where it belongs, which is the opposite of zulm. Zulm or zulm, as they say in Urdu, means putting something where it doesn't belong. But so you put things where they belong. If you put them where they belong, it leads to the balance, al-mizan. If it leads to the balance, it leads to justice. If it leads to justice, it leads to peace. So if you break the chain, you cannot come to peace. You cannot come to peace individually. You cannot have a society that's based on peace because you're breaking all this. You're breaking the mizan. You cannot come to justice. And one of the meanings of Islam is actually peace. Now this is a huge topic, but it's connected to mizan. So it says in the Qur'an, we have surely sent messengers with clear evidences and sent them with the book and the balance so that human beings may behave in equity. What the mistake our scholars have made in the past, almost all of them, is that this is the Arabic word waqt. It's talking of two different things. So what they thought is, oh, you know what? It's one thing. The book is the balance. It's not. It's talking of two things. It's talking of the balance, al-mizan, and it's talking about the book. So it says, and then there's another verse, for example, that's kind of talking of this. He has appointed, precisely established and positioned the earth, both the planet as a whole and the earth's crust itself, for the maintenance and development of sentient life form. I've expanded on a word in Arabic, which if you research that word in different places, it has all these meanings. So I put all of them in here. Now, equigenic, what does that mean? There's a long story behind that. I wrote a book in 1995 called From Facts to Values, in which we showed that rights, they come from nature, from looking at nature, cause and effect. And if you follow the equigenic principle, which is origin and equality, equal or balance, then you will maintain the balance. So the universe was created to test, as a test to see who will perform the best in deeds. That is, who would abide by the laws of God, prime of which is not to accept the pre-existing balance. So it says, it is He, God, who has created the expansive universe and established the balance, mizan, so that you may not disrupt the balance. Therefore, weigh things in equity and do not fall short of maintaining that balance. Okay? And interestingly enough, one of the other verses, which is 57, because I think there are 4 verses specifically on mizan, it's exactly in the center of the Quran, because it's 57 and the Quran has 414 chapters, so that's chapter 57, which is exactly in the center, which is an interesting kind of thing. Now, Zishan was saying maybe we may not have time for this, but there are many implications. I'll just go through them very fast. So what are the implications of this, this unity between science, reason, and the Quran? By observing the signs in nature, it's a reminder of God. We have the awe of God. We fear God, taqwa, and it leads to proper behavior. The ulama, according to the Quran, are those who look into the signs of God and humble themselves before God with the above attitude. This is how the Quran defines ulama. The Quran does not define ulama that I went to a particular university in the Middle East, like Al-Azhar, I did this, I got this degree, I got this permission to teach from this person. That's not the Quranic definition of ulama. And who is going to define ulama better than Allah? And Allah defines ulama, I don't have time to get into the verse, as those who humble themselves and they also fear Allah. These are the ulama. Because, and what is he saying before? They look at the signs in nature. So, it also leads to a certainty, yaqeen, certainty of God's existence by constantly reflecting on nature. Certainly brings about peace and taqwa. When Ibrahim looked at the kingdom of the heavens, and because he takes certainty. That's what the Quran says, yaqeen, by doing that. The certainty of life after death by observing the signs of birth and death in the universe. It's very important to be certain of where you're going. It gives you peace. Also, for example, if the Quran is so accurate on unknowables, and back then unknowables, like embryology, if it describes life after death process events, would it be inaccurate? Would the Quran be inaccurate about life after death, the process of life after death, what exactly happens? And we have covered that. In another book I've written with my friend, Muhammad Muslim, we have actually talked about in detail what happens after death from a physics point of view. Just like, for example, what happens in embryology. There's a stage, it's a staging mechanism. So knowledge is integrated, so that's another thing. And there's no separation between religious and scientific knowledge, so-called religion and so-called scientific knowledge. The study of, now this is I think a very important point. The study of science is the study of why and how things in nature submit to God. So the study of science is the study of how things in nature are in Islam. Why? Because Islam means submission to God. So you see there's no separation. Now here's another interesting thing. Animals also receive revelation, wahi. It says it in the Quran. There are verses on the bees. So the Quran speaks of bees receiving wahi to guide their behavior. It is more at the instinctual program level for optimal foraging, high building, hive location selection, communication. Other animals like the monarch butterfly receive wahi. It is through their navigation system. Their navigation system is calibrated